Good afternoon, Chris, Michael. How you doing? How we doing? We good?
Good
Yeah,
afternoon, fella.
good afternoon. Good, man. Good to chat to you again, Joel, man.
Yes, definitely, man. I mean, it's been a while, but I know there's been lots happening. For those who are watching and wondering who these two black men on our screens, these are, well, I'll let them introduce themselves, but they're part of a brand called Days Like This, one of the biggest and most, notorious day parties out there, I'd say so, in the UK anyway. And they've spread their wings overseas a couple of times, and most recently, which we're going to get stuck into in terms of conversation in a minute. But Michael, what's your role at Days Like This, otherwise known as DLT?
Yeah, so DLT, I'm one of the founders, one of the four original founders of DLT. Been at it about 6 years now. I think I touch on literally every aspect of the business. Probably not so much the music aspect. I'll leave that to the likes of Chris and Anthony and Alex, but every other aspect, the operational side, the logistics, the strategy, that's all me.
Chris, I know you're a newer member to the team, and we're going to talk a little bit more in depth to Michael about expansion and adding new members, but a little bit about what you do, sir.
I'm the team coordinator here at DLT, so a bit like Michael, involved in a few different things, so operations, the entertainment, music, programming, partnerships, everything that kind of needs that push, I kind of help with. So just coordinating, in simplicity of the word.
Yeah. I don't want no one who's listening, watching this, to think that that's a simple role that Chris has got there. It's a big old massive brand, and actually it's full-time job. And for those who are sitting back saying, what full-time job? Yes, that's how big Days Like This are. Michael, you just completed a milestone, which we spoke about at the back end of last year, I think it was. And you just completed your event at Box Park. And it was a huge success, and there was a lot of euphoria amongst the team, and rightly so. But you said you were coming harder in 2023. You did that. You've just come back from Malta, I believe, where a couple of thousand revelers came over to support the brand. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right, man. So last time we spoke, we just did Box Park with Rema, and it was like epic. It was a crazy show. I think that at the time that was the biggest artist we've ever worked with anyway. And he brought a few friends with him, which was a real big shutdown party for the bank holiday weekend at the time. And then, we said we need to go bigger, we need to go harder. And then that's exactly what we did. We went Malta this year with, crazy lineup, star-studded lineup, Wizkid, Kate Renata, Rema again, Shensia. And it was, thankfully, thank God, thank everything, that it was a really, really, really massive success. People loved it. I feel like we owed the people it as well. We'd previously tried to launch 2 other European destination trips, which hadn't been able to go through because of the pandemic, but people still stayed loyal to us and kind of like still supported us, still followed us wherever we were going. So we felt like, now we need to really give something back to the people then. So me, Anthony and Will, we went out to Malta in December, and we was like venue scouting and just checking everything out. And we was just like, yeah, man, this can work. This will be great for the people. And then to kind of make it more solid and more like, hey, this ain't another thing that's going to get cancelled because of the pandemic. We wanted to go out with a real strong lineup to make people realize that we're doing this and this is important. So yeah, man, that was what we did, and it was great.
Yeah, you mentioned the lineup. We'll get into that in a minute. I can imagine the logistics of booking all those artists during the pandemic must have been just one headache, right? But speak on just the uncertainty, because I know Malta. I've got a few friends that live there. I've lived there for over a decade now, and they couldn't go home. It was cutthroat at the moment. At the time, right? There was a point where you didn't know if people were going to be let in. What was that like at your end, with having booked it and having, like you say, tried to plan a couple, but they didn't quite go right?
Yeah, so obviously I think the first place we tried to plan was Marbella. This was before the pandemic happened. And that was looking okay. And then the pandemic hit, boom. So that was just done. Then we tried to plan Mykonos, which was mid-pandemic, but it was at the time where it was starting to sound like things were opening up. And they did open up a little bit, in all fairness. Although we had to cancel the trip, we still went out there with 1 or 2 DJs and said, for anyone who's still out here, we're going to throw something little. And I think that brought us a little bit of credibility within the community, because yes, we cancelled it and had to refund everyone, but we were aware people still flew out, and there was maybe a couple hundred people out there, or maybe just under 100, and we threw something for them. But yeah, like you said, Malta was super strict, super strict. If you didn't have a vaccination, you weren't coming in. If you had a negative test, you were going to isolate for 2 weeks. Funny story is, I went to Malta in December and I caught COVID. And I was due to come back, and I was due to go to Nigeria and then Ghana. Ghana for the event, Nigeria to see family. And then I got stuck, couldn't make the Nigeria trip. Came back, had to spend Christmas in Malta in a quarantine hotel by myself. And then, I managed to make it to Ghana for DLT in Ghana. But if anything, that made me more determined to make Malta a success, because I was like, I did not get stuck here for 2 weeks. This ain't getting cancelled and this is going ahead. So, it was tough at the time and it was looking a bit, but the signs were that generally things were getting easier. And I think our attitude during the pandemic was you'd rather plan to have to cancel than not do anything at all. So we were very much of like, full steam ahead, let's go, things will open up. And then luckily for us, they did. Restrictions eased, the vaccination requirements eased, the length of vaccination eased. And fortunately, I don't think many people were kind of stuck abroad when they came out with us. Everyone got back. Even in this country, the isolation period is eased. So things have gone back to normal. So I feel like all the stars kind of aligned for us and we're quite fortunate. And yeah, even all our acts managed to turn up bar like 2 or 3. So, that in itself was an achievement. So yeah, man, we're just really happy, man.
Yeah, you've done well, man, to deliver that, especially with all the pressures. I can imagine there were a few sleepless nights. Chris, you were amongst all of that. How was it? Was it like a welcome to the world of DLT experience?
No, definitely. I mean, I've been around the boys for a couple of years now. We did a collab event like years ago to kind of be like, yo, power to power, bring it together, unity type thing. So I've always been very fond of the journey and like the determination that they've got to break barriers, But I joined April. April. Yeah. So I kind of came towards the end, but there was still a lot to do. So I came in, just got stuck straight in, like making sure that certain things were done, making sure that the bookings were done, making sure that artists were happy. Because I guess with the job that I've got here is I'm maintaining expectations 3 ways. So you're maintaining expectations of the audience, you're maintaining artist expectations, management expectations, because them 2 expectations are 2 different ones. So it's been great for sure, and I'm learning loads every single day, and Malta was like the breath of fresh air that I think everybody needed to see, that we're capable of this. So the world is just our oyster at this point,
What was the most enjoyable part of Malta for you? I saw a lot of clips on social that followed the hashtag, and I saw the impressions you man done very, very well. What was the most important? What was the most enjoyable part for you? Yeah, for you, Chris.
I think, making sure on the last day that it was programmed really sweet, because the last day was the toughest day on paper, but the easiest day to program. So making sure that Wizkid came out at a great time, Shensia came out at a great time, Rema come out at a great time. To see it happen live in the flesh and to know that I was a part of that was amazing. So I think that was my favorite part. And Cafe Del Mar, for sure, the UK homegrown, that was a great time too.
Michael, when we first spoke, there was 4 of you on the line, I think, or 3 of you, I can't remember. And we were speaking on how many events you've hosted, right? And all the trials and tribulations, the wins, the successes, and the feelings that have gone with that. For those who, didn't catch that interview, the print version is available online. You can download that. But I wondered, when you looked at 2023, you've expanded the team, added Chris, and I'd imagine a few other bodies. Is it looking like what you thought it would at this point, or are you far and away beyond your wildest dreams? And then, I don't know, to use a phrase I'm in the world of digital assets, so we call it price discovery. You don't even actually know what you're about to experience. Are you at that point now?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a mix of both. I've always been a person about structure and bringing in experts. So bringing in the likes of Chris, Patricia. We've also got another guy called Ali who's joined our team, who's like a great creative designer. So I've always been about bringing in experts and letting them just go on, do their job. So in that sense, yes, but yeah, this is beyond anything we ever imagined when we first started. Like, I think you know the journey. We literally started as because there was a frustration of the lack of things like this for us. But here we are, a full grown business where we're organized, we're growing, we're doing like amazing things. So yeah, it is beyond my wildest imagination. So, and you know what, we always stay focused, and we always keep our community at the forefront, and we stay humble, and we always just try to improve things. We never like rest on our morals. I think if anything, what this growth has taught us is to be extremely intentional with everything we do. We always think, all right, how will our community take to this? Does this make sense for them? Is this what they want? And every single thing we do since then has been intentional. We rarely just throw an event just because. There has to be a reason or a narrative behind it. Any kind of collaboration we do, there has to be a narrative behind it. So yeah, man, like we're here and we're working, and we want to keep growing, man. We want to grow globally and take this to pockets that need us.
Talking about being intentional and delivering what the audience wants, Chris, I'd imagine your job's cut out, because you're already seen as market leaders. But there's stiff competition in the space, right? Or do you see it as such? What helps you to sharpen your blade and make sure that the punters, the fans, the community, as it were, keep attending DLT?
I think it is. I think the competition is so amazing that it keeps us on our feet. I enjoy that part of the competition. I go to you can ask I go to all the other parties and just enjoy the party. So I might hear something and think, okay, cool. Maybe we can take that element of that party and maybe try it at one of our parties. And I think we all borrow from each other. And I think that's the great thing. We've got the license to borrow, and we're allowed to borrow. We shouldn't be shy to borrow, because all of these DJs and acts are part of our community. And if we gatekeep a certain amount of DJs or a certain amount of artists, there's no progression that way. So I think the job is hard but easy for that sense, if that makes sense. So you can come and see an artist at DLT and it's a total different experience as if you went to see them at a different place, just the way we would have programmed it. So there's that uniqueness as well.
Michael, the Malta event wasn't the highlight of the year, was it? There's a few more bits and pieces coming. What can you share with us, sir?
Yeah, so we haven't announced it yet, but we're collaborating with the London Borough Culture to do like a mini day in the park at the Horniman Museum. That will be on August the 13th. So I think that's going to be another highlight of the year. And I feel like that will be something for those who came to Malta and also those that didn't attend to Malta, to bring that same energy back. Two of the founders are from the Lewisham Borough. So kind of it felt like a natural synergy to work with the London Borough Culture to bring that kind of vibe to the Horniman. And yeah, it'll be the first time we've done what will feel like a mini festival of our own. I know we just done Malta, but this one will feel like a day festival. So yeah, that's coming. We've also got Ghana at the end of the year, Nigeria at the end of the year. And sooner rather than later, we are going to touch the States, Toronto, New York. These things are in conversations. So these are things to come. Malta is just like, this is the proof of concept. You guys believe us now. So let's take this even further.
Chris, have you been to any of the other overseas events?
I've only been to Malta, but this year I'll be in Africa. I'll be in Ghana and Nigeria for sure.
Yeah, I can imagine that you must be excited about the future in terms of like you've joined at the right time. The links have been made.
It is. There's been a lot going on, and it's been great to just see. But now also to be involved and have an input is much more of a blessing, if that makes sense. So
yeah, it does now. I totally get you. the Beyond Borders event. Is that the one you're referring to, Michael?
Yeah.
Right, yeah. So yeah, I've had a word with them. I kind of knew about your involvement before, so I was hoping you would drop that one in there. Listen, that one's in the manor, as we say.
It's in the end,
right? So that's kind of brings its own different kind of pressure, not just because you deliver to your own standards anyway, right? And you're confident in that regard, but I guess partnering with the establishment in that way, they've got their own idea about how this should look, right? So talk about the fusion and bringing it together. Are you guys enjoying that process now? Is it a bit more
I think it's been fun, and in all fairness, they've let us kind of have a lot of freedom in how we want to run things. They've not been too, you'd be surprised, like we've worked with other people who are probably a bit more hands and they want things in a certain way. These guys have been like, you do great things, just do it your way, and these are like the little touch points that we would like to see, which has been fine. We're hoping to program a fun day out with some really cool acts, and hopefully we can get some local people in there as well, just to really give something back to the community. We're also going to be doing some talks with some youths in the area as well, just to kind of let them know what we're doing, and if there's anywhere we can steer them in the right direction, always happy to do that. So I think it's going to be a fun experience, man. It's going to be fun, and we're going to take 2,000-3,000 people to Forest Hill and have a good time.
Chris, I'd imagine we're looking for another, WizKid and Shenyang type budget. No, listen. On that note, though, right? Because I said we'd get back to the lineup because it was a good look just on paper. I wish I was there, but the whole artist attraction. Who else do you want to work with? And don't say everyone, right? And I imagine this is a very personal thing, innit? Different for you each, right? But who would you like to have DLT's brand, your stamp, just like how you talked about, bringing on WizKid and bringing on Shen. Who would you like to kind of work with ideally?
Are you asking me or you asking?
Yeah, I want both of you, but you go first, Chris.
I mean, I've been saying one name for ages and it's crazy. J Hus. I think J Hus would be.
Ooh, I see what you did there. I see.
Hus would be like, yeah, cause his growth is very similar to like my own personal growth and how he's been able to take it to like the top. It'd be great to see him do that, and overseas as well.
Yeah, Hus would be absolutely a monster.
I
love Hus. Yeah. I mean, I'm about to find out, so let's leave it. Michael, yours.
Yeah, Chris already said Hus. I'd love to have Hus at DLT. But my dream artist would be if we had an unlimited budget and everything. I'd love to see a Kanye West at a DLT, man. That would just be something sensational, man. That would be something sensational.
All right, well, you heard it here first. I reckon days like this are going to be going strong for a minute still. I reckon there's going to be, as I put on the headline of the last piece, there are going to be more days like this to come. So is there anything else you want to share with the viewers? I mean, listen, there's a lot of people who, didn't get to see the last interview because we didn't put out the whole video. We just put out the story. And again, I encourage you to go and read that if you're listening, watching, and you're able to go and check that out, because you will see the origin for days like this where these guys are concerned began in the States. So it's interesting to hear you say, Michael, that that's a huge target of yours, and you mentioned some very specific states, so I know the conversations are ongoing and it must be at an advanced stage. So if they're listening, we want to see that materialize and come to fruition. I'm sure it will just be the beginning of a great union. But talk about that type of development from your perspective, Michael. The fact that you're here now and actually the world is your oyster, innit? What else? Because what about South Africa? Is that not on the radar? I'd imagine it.
On the radar. And if people who have been to us, we've had the major league DJs, Cabs of the Small. South Africa is definitely something we'd like to explore. I just think our ethos is simply wherever there's any pockets in the world in the diaspora. Even Jamaica's a place we'd love to explore. Do you know what I mean? And we want to do it in an organic and in the right way. So we're not coming in and just like, oh, this is DLT. No, we want to learn and work with the people on the ground and and really understand it. So it's done in an organic and a nice way. I think Ghana's probably the best example of that. You know what I mean? We worked with the local DJs there, the local talent and people, the local venues, and even some of the local brands. And that's the way we want to go into these spaces and be like, you lot are doing something great. Let's work together. Let's merge it. Let's make it even greater. Let's both use each other. You know, a lot of there's going to be a lot of like collaborations that people are going to see in the next 12 months. So they're going to think, how does that's random, but it's not. These are just people, same ethos, same mindset, leaning on each other, working together and showing the whole wider community that, oh, we're all in this together and we're all working together. So that's our ethos.
Thanks for your time, guys. I really appreciate it. Chris, anything you want to leave the viewers with before we go?
Come to the next DLTs, man. It's gonna be crazy. Catch one in London or catch one worldwide, literally.
We didn't get into your clothing brand. What's the name of it again?
One Figures.
One Figures, but we're gonna do that. All right, we're gonna catch up and go into what you've been doing for the last 8 years.
If you're wearing One Figures to a DLT, we'll give you a free drink.
There you go. You heard it first, right? Send me the link. We'll put it underneath the interview. Listen, guys, really appreciate your time. Yeah.
Lessons. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, man. Take care, John.